Once a legendary figure in the New York gang scene, Dwight finds himself in the small city of Tulsa, clashing with local gangs. After a major showdown with them, a new day dawns, bringing with it the sad news of his brother's passing. Dwight heads back to New York to attend the funeral, where he reunites with his daughter, whom he recognizes at first sight despite years of separation. Although she's still distant, Dwight learns from his sister that his daughter is doing well, running a flower shop and raising 2 sons, which brings him some comfort. That night, Dwight gets a call from the underboss of the gang's headquarters, informing him that the big boss is seriously ill and hospitalized. Knowing the big boss once betrayed him, Dwight's sense of brotherhood has faded. He chooses to focus on his brother's funeral instead of rushing to the hospital. To make up for his absence over the years, he pays for the entire funeral and tries to reconnect with his daughter through her husband. Later at the hospital to visit the big boss, Dwight encounters the minor gang leader he'd previously clashed with. An argument ensues, and Dwight learns that the underboss had covered the compensation he'd refused to pay. The reason behind this gesture remains unclear for now. Unfortunately, Dwight's visit is ill-timed as the big boss is resting, and they don't meet. Meanwhile, back in Tulsa, the Bald, who Dwight's team had just defeated, quickly seeks revenge. He collaborates with the Oklahoma State Police to arrest Jay, the driver, and the drug dealer. This move also reveals more core members of Dwight's gang. The Bald splits his forces. One group collaborates with the state police to arrest a bar owner, an important supporter and business partner of Dwight's. Luckily, the bar is located in an autonomous Native American region, where state police have no jurisdiction. Faced with the knowledgeable and legally savvy bar owner, the police have no choice but to leave empty-handed. On the other side, the Bald sends his female lieutenant to get close to the assassin Dwight had recently re-recruited, aiming to sow discord between them. The assassin, who had just started to feel the thrill of his old life again, is now torn between loyalty and the safety of his family. Unknown to everyone, this female lieutenant is actually an informant for the police. Their target isn't Dwight, but the Bald. The police have been eyeing him for a while and plan to use the lieutenant to gather evidence of his criminal activities. Dwight's involvement is an unexpected twist in their plan. Back in New York, Dwight's daughter, witnessing her father's efforts, finally decides to reconcile with him. She opens up about her life after his imprisonment, inadvertently mentioning a mid-level gang member from Dwight's gang. Sensing her hesitation, Dwight quickly realizes that this man must have wronged his daughter. Enraged, Dwight confronts the big boss in the hospital. He can tolerate the big boss's betrayal, but not someone harming his daughter. After extracting the gang member's location from the big boss, Dwight takes matters into his own hands and eliminates the offender. This act of vengeance doesn't go unnoticed. The underboss, eyeing the future leadership of the gang, finds Dwight's respected status a hindrance. Following the mid-level gang member's murder, he suggests to his father, the big boss, that they use this as a pretext to eliminate Dwight's entire family. However, the big boss, being more rational, chastises his son for not managing his subordinates properly, recognizing that further killings could demoralize the gang. After dealing with the gang member, Dwight reunites with his daughter, confessing what he's done and reassuring her that any retribution will be directed solely at him, adhering to the gang's code of individual accountability. Having settled matters in New York, Dwight returns to Tulsa, where he is unexpectedly approached by the female cop. She reveals that the police are closing in on the Bald. The conflict with the Bald and his gang is now unavoidable. The two leaders meet, but the tension is palpable, suggesting a calm before an inevitable storm. Dwight's return brings a sense of unity and direction back to his scattered gang, readying them for the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, Dwight, concerned about his daughter's safety, reaches out to an old associate named Silver, now a mid-level boss in the gang. He invites Silver to Tulsa to discuss some matters. Silver, though loyal to Dwight, needs to check in with Big Boss first. Surprisingly, Big Boss, having narrowly escaped death, agrees to this. He sees it as an opportunity to assess Dwight's situation in Tulsa and possibly uncover some unknown details. On a quieter day, Dwight learns about a white horse in the city that's set to be euthanized. Feeling a sense of kinship with the horse, as both are facing their ends in different ways, he decides to buy it and temporarily leaves it at the farm owned by the woman he's become a fan of. This gesture leads to another chance encounter between them. While Dwight enjoys these softer moments, the Bald launches an offensive. He convinces the boyfriend of his female lieutenant, who's also part of the gang, to fire shots at Dwight's base to intimidate him. This base happens to be Dwight's favorite bar. Caught off guard by the attack, Dwight and the bar owner, both seasoned in handling tough situations, retaliate and kill the intruder. Just as things settle down in Tulsa, trouble brews in New York. The underboss, in a fit of rage and with nowhere else to vent, assaults Dwight's son-in-law, beating him severely. Dwight's daughter calls him for help, and realizing that the assault was a direct provocation from the underboss, Dwight understands he needs to deal with the bald swiftly. In a bold move, they send the clothes of the attacker back to the bald. The female lieutenant, seeing her lover killed, is utterly devastated and breaks down. She contacts the female cop, realizing the danger she's in and eager to end it all. They agree that obtaining the bald's computer, which contains incriminating evidence, will allow the police to finally close in on him. As the lieutenant tries to steal data from the bald's computer, she's caught in the act. The bald, always suspicious and cunning, doesn't give her a chance to explain and kills her on the spot. In Tulsa, Dwight welcomes Silver, who has a unique position. Once Dwight's subordinate, he's now also a representative sent by Big Boss. Dwight confronts Silver about his son-in-law's beating, but Silver quickly clarifies that Big Boss wasn't aware of this incident. Furthermore, Silver reveals that Big Boss had previously intervened to prevent the underboss from targeting Dwight's daughter, a revelation that leaves Dwight with mixed feelings. Silver, familiar with both the assassin and the significance of Dwight's ring, now worn by Jay, is also aware of the assassin's re-recruitment by Dwight, something that had initially surprised Big Boss. Dwight has ambitious plans. He wants to renovate and transform the bar he frequents into a legitimate casino in collaboration with the bar owner and the Native Americans, aiming for a lucrative venture that combines earning and laundering money. However, lacking personal funds and unwilling to ask the gang headquarters for financial support, Dwight turns to the drug dealer, a skilled hacker with millions in encrypted accounts from his hacking exploits. With this funding, the project can finally commence. Meanwhile, the screenwriters, seeing Dwight's smooth sailing, decide to up the ante. In New York, the underboss, impatient to take over the gang and tired of waiting due to Big Boss's unexpectedly robust health, murders his father during a bath. With full control of the gang, the underboss adopts a new image and takes bolder actions. Dwight, busy in Tulsa with the casino and expanding his gang for the upcoming battle with the Bald's local gang, is unaware of the imminent danger. At Big Boss's funeral, which Dwight doesn't attend, the underboss gathers several lower bosses and plans an assault on Dwight in Tulsa. One dissenting voice is quickly silenced as a warning to others. As Dwight, with the drug dealer's financial backing, focuses on developing the casino and fortifying his gang, the Bald faces a significant setback. The female cop, having received no word from the female lieutenant, suspects the worst and reports the Bald's illegal activities. Soon the police raid the Bald's headquarters. Although the Bald escapes, a warrant for his arrest is issued, significantly weakening his position. Blaming Dwight for his recent misfortunes, the Bald seeks revenge and contacts the two state police officers who had previously dealt with Dwight, instructing them to give Dwight trouble. However, Dwight, experienced and astute, confronts and intimidates the officers. Realizing Dwight is a tough adversary and their connection with the Bald is merely transactional, they decide to back off. Just as Dwight resolves this issue, he receives a call from the underboss, proposing a meeting in Tulsa under the guise of reconciliation. Dwight senses a trap but agrees to meet anyway. That evening, he meets with the female cop who's clearly jealous of his recent dates with the farm owner. Just as their encounter is about to turn cliché, the Bald and his men attempt an assassination. Dwight and the female cop are forced to return fire. During the shootout, she gets injured and Dwight focuses on protecting her, allowing the Bald's men to escape. The arriving police detain Dwight, triggering memories of the night before his incarceration years ago. He recalls how a reckless act by the underboss caused a fire in a building. Dwight, wanting to protect everyone, asked them to flee while he stayed behind to take the blame for a murder committed in the chaos, a sacrifice that led to his long imprisonment. The underboss had indeed felt indebted to Dwight for covering for him, which explained why he had covered the medical expenses the gang member demanded from Dwight. Back in the present in Tulsa, Dwight, adhering to the traditional gangster code, remains silent in police custody. Once released, he immediately visits the female cop in the hospital. She shares two crucial pieces of information. The police have discovered the Bald's secret bank account with nearly $10 million, and the recent shooting has exposed her relationship with Dwight. As a cop associated with a notorious gangster, she's now facing unemployment. Dwight solemnly promises to compensate her for her loss. Dwight, with a critical task ahead, faces the arrival of the underboss and his crew in Tulsa. Dwight, ever strategic, confronts the underboss and bluntly exposes his real intentions. He declares his intention to leave the current gang and operate independently, even persuading Silver, his old subordinate, to join him. Despite his disappointment, the underboss, seeing Dwight's well-armed setup, reluctantly accepts this outcome. Back at his base, Dwight holds a pre-battle meeting. He knows the Bald remains a constant threat and needs to be dealt with cleverly. Dwight's plan involves the drug dealer who uses his hacking skills to break into the Bald's computer, transferring all the money from his bank account. He also sends $1 million to the female cop as compensation for her job loss at the police department. The Bald, losing his life savings overnight, is furious and launches an all-out attack on Dwight's headquarters. However, Dwight and his men are well prepared, decisively defeating the Bald and his gang, effectively eliminating any future threats in Tulsa. 3 months later, Dwight has firmly established himself in Tulsa and brings his daughter's family to join him. The bar and casino are about to open, and life seems almost too perfect. Silver is in charge of the casino operations, the bar owner is joyously performing on stage, and Jay, Dwight's driver, has found a girlfriend. Just when everything seems to be settling down, the female cop, who had been out of the picture for a while, visits Dwight. Unexpectedly, the police have offered her a chance to rejoin the force. She decides to use the $1 million Dwight gave her as evidence to accuse him of bribery. As Dwight's life reaches a high point, the plot takes a dramatic turn. To secure a second season, the scriptwriters have him arrested in front of his daughter, leaving his future uncertain. If the 2016 Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor was an acknowledgement of Sylvester Stallone's acting prowess, then in this series, he shines brilliantly. His portrayal of violence and humor is nearly perfect, and at 75, landing such a role is a rarity. Through his efforts, Dwight might be a complete villain on screen, but he's still a character we can't help but love. The anticipation for the second season is high, as viewers eagerly wait to see what happens next.